G'day folks, Sean here from Air Photography. So it's hard to believe that the Mini 3 Pro has been out for 1 year. It was first announced by DJI in May last year. They started shipping at the end of May and into early June. I think it was around this time last year that I received mine. Now, in my humble opinion, I think the DJI Mini 3 Pro is one of DJI's more important drone releases in the last couple of years. Now, the reason I say that because in the past, if you wanted a sub 250 gram drone or needed one, you had to sacrifice image quality and features. But that's no longer the case with the Mini 3 Pro. The Mini 3 Pro introduced a brand new camera with its 1.7 aperture. You can capture stunning content in many different types of lighting conditions. On top of that, you don't have to sacrifice intelligent flight modes, as the Mini 3 Pro contains most of the intelligent flight features that DJI's higher end drones have. Things like focus track, which has your spotlight, point of interest, and tracking. On top of that, you're able to capture master shots and create hyperlapses. And it does a really good job in all of those scenarios. Now, with the launch of the Mini 3 Pro, there were a few hiccups for some people. Most notably in Canada, many of us were having range issues. The problem was that for the transmission range, it was bumping down into the CE mode, which basically dictates how much power is allowed for transmission. But DJI did get that corrected fairly quickly. And for myself, I no longer have those range issues. Now, since we are on the topic of range, I do find that the Mini 3 Pro does not have the same type of range as something like my Air 2S or even my Mavic 3. I've done numerous range and signal strength testing, and I find my Mavic 3 Pro just overall performs the best. Although they're both OcuSync 3, with my Mavic 3, it's no issue to get out about 8 kilometers in an open environment like this. However, with my Mini 3, it struggles to get past 4 kilometers. Now really, it's not too big of an issue because with drones in most countries, when it comes to mini drones, you have to stay within line of sight. That's a little bit different here in Canada. We are allowed to fly our sub 250 gram drones farther than visual line of sight. And really at 4 kilometers, that's more than enough to get out and capture what I need. When it comes to flying in more congested Wi-Fi areas, such as cities, it actually performs quite well, and I think it performs neck and neck with my Mavic 3 when it comes to penetration and signal strength when you are flying in a city around obstacles and lots of Wi-Fi interference. Now, of course, one of the big improvements of the Mini 3 Pro is the camera, and that was a significant step when it comes to mini drones. After all, the camera is one of the most important components of the drone. Most of us fly these things to capture nice cinematic video, so having a good camera is very important. The Mini 3 Pro's camera was quite an upgrade over the Mini 2, and as mentioned, with its 1.7 aperture, it does a great job in many different types of lighting conditions. It can capture stunning 4K video, and on top of that, we also got the ability to turn the camera vertically. You can do so now without having to crop your video. That allows you to export higher resolution videos, and you're making full use of your sensor. Now, that's not important to everybody. Not everybody needs to film in vertical, but for me, it is nice to have that feature when I do want to film for my social media channels. And it just makes sharing in that vertical format quick and easy. You can just download it, and it's already in the proper format. Another big improvement over something like the Mini 2 is that it does include all of DJI's intelligent flight features. As mentioned, things like tracking, spotlight, and point of interest. Now, these intelligent flight features are not for everybody. Not everybody uses them. And most of the time, I'm flying my drone manually myself. But I do use them from time to time, especially spotlight and point of interest. Tracking is something that I don't use a lot, but it is nice to have it there for when I do want it. So as mentioned, the Mini 3 Pro comes in under 249 grams, and that is super important to many people in different countries. In some countries, the mini drones are really the only option they have to fly. But even if that weight is not super important to you, but the small form factor and ultralight weight can be important to many other people as well. If you're a person who needs to travel light, or you're a backpacker and you just want an ultralight drone that still has good performance, the Mini 3 Pro is a great choice. It's super lightweight, so if you're out day tripping, adventuring, or sightseeing, it's not inconvenient to bring along with you. Or as mentioned, if you need to pack it because you're doing a backpacking trip, it's not going to add a lot of weight to your kit. On top of that, the batteries are quite small compared to something like the Mavic 3 series. So again, if you have to pack several batteries with you, it's not going to weigh you down. So the Mini 3 Pro is a great choice for people who want to travel and just want something that's not cumbersome to take along. Now, when it comes to batteries, DJI did something interesting with the Mini 3 Pro. They gave us 2 types of batteries. One that is more geared to longer flight time, and one that keeps the drone under the weight. So you get to choose whether flight time or weight is more of your priority. The flight time with the Plus battery is quite good. You can get 47 minutes of rated flight time, but you can still get 34 minutes of rated flight time with the smaller battery. So it's really nice that you have a choice whether you want to fly longer or you need to follow that sub 250 gram rule. Now, one slight limitation of the Mini 3 Pro is flying it in wind. Although it is rated for a level 5 wind, it can struggle on fairly windy days. Now, I have flown it on actually some pretty windy days and I've been pretty pleased with the performance. The footage is nice and stable, and unlike some sub 250 gram drones, they lose a lot of their power in the wind to the point where you can almost lose your drone. Now, the Mini 3 Pro will slow down quite a bit on a windy day. You're not going to get as much speed, and you're going to go through the battery quite a bit quicker. But generally, it performs quite well. Now, myself, if I am going to be flying on a really windy day, I'll always choose something like the Mavic 3 or my Air 2S. Generally, they just perform a lot better on windy days just because there is a little bit more heft to the drone. These ultralight drones can be blown around quite a bit. So that is something to consider if you do live in a windy environment and you will be flying in the wind quite a bit. Perhaps a larger drone might be a better choice for you if that weight is not an issue. Now, another interesting thing that DJI launched alongside the Mini 3 Pro was the DJI RC. And this was another important release as well, as for the first time you didn't have to spend an insane amount of money in order to get a smart style controller. And for the most part, it performs quite well. Although it's not as robust and feature-rich as the RC Pro, it comes in at a fraction of the cost. The screen on it is only 700 nits compared to 1000 nits of the RC Pro, but in most lighting conditions, it's pretty usable. And when it comes to the nit value, it's 700 sustained nits. And that's compared to something like an iPhone. Although they have very bright screens, they tend to get dim very quickly on bright sunny days, almost to the point where you can't even use them. So having something with the built-in screen at 700 nits is quite nice. And on top of that, you just have the convenience factor of being able to pull out your controller and drone and get it up in the air quickly. You don't have to worry about connecting a phone. But if you are a person who already owns the RC Pro, it is fully compatible with the Mini 3 Pro, and it actually has a really nice flight experience. It is a little pricey, so something like the DJI RC is still probably a better choice for most people. Now, just like all DJI drones, the drone that was released on launch day is quite a bit different than the drone we have today. DJI does a really good job at releasing firmware updates to fix problems, add new features, and enhance existing ones. And that's definitely the case with the Mini 3 Pro. It has had several firmware updates to really enhance it, including the ability to now fly it with goggles and the DJI Motion 2. That is something that a lot of people have been waiting for, including myself. Now, albeit I don't fly it like that very often, but it's just a nice feature to have when I do want to fly with goggles. So all in all, the Mini 3 Pro is a great choice for both beginners and seasoned pilots. If you're looking for your very first drone, but want something that is going to perform well, that is safe to fly, as DJI Mini drones has all the safety features as their larger drones, then it's definitely one you want to consider if you are looking for your first drone. And as mentioned, even as a seasoned pilot, it still makes a great backup or a secondary drone. Myself, I tend to reach for this more than my Mavic 3 just for the sheer convenience. So yeah, folks, those are my thoughts of the Mini 3 Pro after flying it for the past year. It's been a great drone, it's been very reliable, and I've captured a lot of great content with it. It's been really enjoyable to fly, and I'm looking forward to taking it with me on the road this summer. I hope you enjoyed this video and got some value out of it. Give it a thumbs up if you did, as it is truly, truly appreciated, and we'll see you on the next one.